And we're live. Welcome everybody to this week's Azure and AI Show. With me there is Dan Ray, and Kieran is going to present his screen to us there, and we'll get going. So, do you want to share your screen there again to me?
Can do that. Let me know when you are able to see the screen.
Yep, there you go. We have it.
Cool. Good to go?
Yep.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Sashikiran Karanam. I'm a principal IT analyst with a leading pharmaceutical research and manufacturing company here in New York capital area. As part of my 20 years of IT experience, I had a great opportunity to implement and validate a handful of pharmaceutical IT systems to support the key areas of pharmaceutical serialization, ERP, and warehouse management systems, and so on. Basically, the ecosystem that builds the pharmaceutical industry. From the educational standpoint, I have an MBA specialized in IT cybersecurity from State University of New York. And I do have a master's in information systems and a bachelor's in computer applications. So said that, I am excited to share some key insights from my pharma IT ecosystem implementation experiences. So let's dive into it. So I want to start my presentation with a real-time example that sets the context of this presentation and which reveals the data integrity in the pharmaceutical industry. So let's say when a doctor prescribes a medicine to us, we go to a pharmacy to pick that up. Now, the pharmacist at the window wanted to make sure whether the medicine that he is dispensing to us is genuine, and he does that by scanning the barcode on the medicine that is imprinted. When he scans the barcode, it reveals certain key details like national drug code, global trade identification number, a serial number, and the serial number, serialization details, and manufacturer details. And certain times it shows the supplier and distributor information as well. So all these details collectively makes the medicine authentic. And let's say for some reason the pharmacist is not able to authenticate that medicine and dispenses as is. So we risk consuming an illegitimate drug. This can seriously impact our health and safety. So now I want to highlight here at this point, like the illegitimate, suspect, and counterfeit drugs is a market which is estimated worth around 500 billion, according to United Nations Office on Drug and Crime. So in pharmaceutical industry, the serial numbers or serialization details and the product details are so crucial, and they ensure that the medicines are genuine and traceable. So for some reason, if these serialization data is leaked to a bad actor, there are chances of illegitimate drugs that getting into the market, and which will jeopardize the health safety of the public. Now, the point that I want to highlight here using this scenario is that any data that is processed and that is generated by the IT ecosystem around the pharma industry is crucial, because it has a direct impact on the patient's safety and drug quality and efficacy. So said that, let's get into this presentation. So the pharmaceutical ecosystem is in a transformation right now at this point of time. So the pharmaceutical industry basically is experiencing a revolutionary shift through the convergence of cloud-based platforms, also the AI-powered analytics. So the digital evolution enables safer, faster, and more compliant drug manufacturing and distribution across the global network, fundamentally changing how the medication reaches the patients worldwide. So said that, if we think about the exponential market growth as well as the complexities that is bringing in to the picture, Right now, the pharmaceutical contract manufacturing organization is experiencing an unexpected expansion, which is projected with a growth of $182 billion to $289 billion. This growth reflects the sector's increasing dependency on the CMOs and third-party logistics, which creates a more interconnected yet very complex global supply chain. So think of the contract manufacturing organizations as the upstream to a manufacturing unit, as well as the CMOs or the 3PLs as the downstream. Now, collectively, all these entities, all these nodes make an ecosystem where the different IT systems are built in these systems, and they talk each other continuously, seamlessly to exchange sensitive data. And enormous sensitive data is being transitioned over these integrations, which makes it vulnerable for any cyber attacks. Said that, the criticalities that these interconnectedness or complex nature of the systems are bringing in are the data integrity, where the maintaining accurate, consistent data across the distributed manufacturing sites and the partner organizations, while ensuring the traceability and audit readiness, and regulatory compliance, where navigating a complex global regulations include FDA, EMA, and local authorities, while maintaining real-time compliance across all the operations. Now, cybersecurity threats need not to say like protecting a sensitive information like serialization data against increasing sophisticated cyber attacks in an interconnected ecosystem. So, as we are seeing here, the modern pharmaceutical operations leverage today the AI, machine learning, and IoT to optimize the manufacturing with a real-time data automation and predictive analytics. So these integrations basically foster the innovation and resilient production ecosystems. Now, when we think about doing this IT digitization, some of the systems that we consider are like MES, which is Manufacturing Execution System, which is a real-time production monitoring with controlling which connects the shop floors with the enterprise systems for a seamless visibility and the traceability. And the quality management system, which comprises of the quality oversights of the raw material through the finished or final products, ensuring the consistency and the regulatory compliance. ERP, need not to say, is a backbone of these systems because it integrates the business processes and management spanning across the finance, supply chain, and inventory, and distribution across the global operations. Now, said that, let's touch upon the cybersecurity around the pharmaceutical industry, where a dependency on IT and OT systems are critical important. So the pharmaceutical operations rely heavily on integrated IT and OT systems for the research, development, production, and distribution. So this integration seamlessly processes, but also creates interdependencies that introduce cybersecurity vulnerabilities, making them attractive target for any cyber attacker. And the convergence of the IT and OT exposes the pharmaceutical companies to a unique vulnerabilities such as increased risk of unauthorized access, data breaches, as these systems communicates weaknesses in either of these layers or either of these nodes. Compromise is going to jeopardize the overall security. So the heightened frameworks, which is tailored towards these integrated environments, are critical important. Also, the cyber threats in the pharmaceutical industry can lead to severe consequences, including data compromise, operational disruption, financial loss. So these impacts not only the organization's bottom line business, but also it jeopardizes the patient's safety and trust, highlighting the urgency for enhanced security measurements. Now, the operational improvements that we saw when we implemented these systems are like, as an example, the MES, when we implemented, it reduced the batch release given a lot from 27 days to 7 days. Similarly, the deviations, those are the resolution or time taken to resolve the deviations for a given a lot was reduced from 45 days to 14 days when we implement the QMS. So it's basically a dramatic operational improvement through the digitization. That's what I would say. Now, the framework that we use to validate these systems is GAMP5, which is Good Automated Manufacturing Practices, which provides the risk-based framework to compliant computerized system validation. This approach has dramatically reduced the validation timelines and costs while maintaining the rigorous regulatory alignments. So, said that, this is where the cloud system comes into the picture to secure the foundation of the pharma IT. And cloud platforms like Microsoft Azure in particular provides pharmaceutical organizations with a enterprise grade cloud infrastructure specifically designed to meet the stringent security. Now, compliance and reliability requirements are also imbibed or inbuilt in those, and the Azure comprehensive platform enables digital transformation while maintaining a highest standards of the data protection. Now, some of the benefits that we learned while implementing, or it has a built-in compliance, wherein Azure offers a pre-certified compliance frameworks for GXP, FDA, 21.7 CFR Part 11. Basically, any regulations, those are set forth by different government bodies and the local country-specific compliances. And its multi-layer security, wherein defense in-depth architecture is an added benefit, and a global infrastructure where it has a 60 plus replicas, all across the world, wherein because of these replicas, the low latency is possible when we are implementing these systems. And need not to say the scalable performance, wherein the elastic computing as well as the storage, which makes it very scalable to meet the fluctuating demands of the batch processing. Now, end-to-end visibility is very much possible because it's a cloud system wherein Azure-powered platforms integrate the data from manufacturing sites to the distribution centers and logistic partners, and creating a real-time and enable rapid responses to the distribution and supplying the end product or the medicine to the patients. Said that, the connected nature of these systems, which forms a ecosystem, has its own benefits, where seamless integration, real-time monitoring, proactive alerting, comprehensive audit trail, and partner collaboration is very much possible. And because of the interconnected nature, the threat comes where in the pharmaceutical industry, combining the IT and OT creates a unique cybersecurity risks with many integration points, large amount of the data that is being exchanged between these systems and external parties. Security gaps can arise, and these gaps can be exploited by cyber attackers. So it is vitally important for the organizations to strengthen their defenses around these ecosystems. Said that, what are the path forward and strategic imperatives, right? So developing a cloud first architecture and implementing zero trust security, enabling AI through the operations, and building a digital capabilities of imperatives. And specifically, the key takeaways for any IT leaders due to this presentation is the pharmaceutical industry right now is in a rapid revolutionary demand and the modern cloud infrastructure and AI capabilities. And to remain competitive and compliant in any this kind of increasing complex regulatory, it is very important to start thinking about the digital transformation, right? And security must be foundational. It should not be thought afterwards. It should be from the starting when you start designing the systems itself. Said that, the integration drives value, as we just saw. The MES, QMS, and ERP, all these IT ecosystems and partner systems create a visibility and agility that is needed to optimize the global manufacturing and distribution operations while maintaining the compliance. Now, to conclude this presentation, cloud technologies like Azure and AI-driven automation provides the foundation for end-to-end data security, regulatory compliance, and operational reliability in any pharmaceutical manufacturing distribution. And by implementing this digital transformation, the industry can deliver life-saving medication to the patients faster, safer, and more efficient than ever before. So said that, I'll conclude this presentation, and thank you for giving this opportunity.
Excellent job.
Very good.
Thank you, Frank.
It's isn't it kind of very worrying that we have all this kind of stuff, all this hacking and everything going on that in the background? That
Absolutely, yeah. The serialization is one of the backbone for the pharmaceutical industry for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and is it like that? Is it all on premises that are being tacked or cloud stuff?
These are cloud stuff basically, and the systems that we build, like the serial, we call it serial number management system, so which is cloud hosted and it is global basically. And when we talk about these regulations that I'm talking about, each zone, meaning to say globally, different regions are having different regulations. Like here in US, we comply with FDA's DSCSA. And similarly for EU, we have the EMVO and HTA and different regulations. Those are country specific basically. Yeah.
Yeah, so you actually help people, companies shift to the cloud so as they're more safe.
That is correct. Yes. So like we saw in this presentation, especially these cloud platforms like Azure, for that said, any cloud technology like Azure or AWS, they come with the built-in compliance, that is built in. So it is very easier for implementation basically. Yeah.
Very good. And just somebody is just saying hi to us there. Hello.
Excellent.
We didn't have any questions coming in from anyone. Dan, have you any?
Yeah, the statement I'll make, and I'll ask a question too, is a lot of times industries, feel like they're either ahead of the curve or behind the curve from a standpoint of adoption and readiness. And a lot of times it requires at least one of those industry companies to lead the way, to be one of the first. Where would you feel, Kiran, that pharmaceutical companies are? Are they early adopters, or because of the validated systems, are they having to struggle with some of this cloud adoption or new technology?
That's a good question, right? This is all about regulation. So it's not an option basically. It is kind of regulatory body driven. So any pharmacy company, they are thinking about the production of life-saving medication. They should always be thinking about these regulations and how to adapt to the regulations. So they need to comply with these. As we are speaking with the DSCSA that we are talking about, it has different regulations, like the manufacturer must and should serialize their products at the unit level, which is kind of an evolution. It started from 2017. By 2018, somewhere around September, all manufacturers should serialize their medicine, and they should be able to communicate the serialization data to their downstreams, and throughout the supply chain node, they should be able to serialize that, and any given node they should be able to track those. So why I'm saying all these information is like those are critical important for any manufacturing or any CMOs or any supply chain distributors. They are coming into the play. And when we think about these platforms, like as an example, I showed the Azure, or for that said any cloud-based systems, they should be able to give us a solution, or start thinking or imbibing or building these compliances. So those are critical important, and it is ever changing. When I say ever changing, it changes from country to country, and there are different regulatory bodies. Like in US we have FDA. As I said, when we are communicating with the EU arena, they have kind of EMVO, they call it, which is a hub, wherein which the serialization data is communicated to them. So yeah, it's critically important.
Excellent.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And just one other question. So we say in the US, would they is it the FDA is the regulatory body there in the US? Is
I believe
yeah.
That is correct. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so would they tell all the pharmaceutical companies to get up to speed on these things and give a deadline that they have to have it?
Absolutely, yes, yeah.
Okay.
They have different deadlines, and those are given, released prior before the deadlines, and for these companies are given at a timeline to comply with those. As I said, like every manufacturer needs to serialize their product, and after that they said, like, any electronic systems that we are integrating or communicating with the downstream and upstream, we should be able to send this serialization data and transaction information, transaction statements, and all those comes into the play. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Very good, very good.
Yeah.
So Dan, we'll leave you share your screen there. So
Sure.
very good.
So this is just, I guess, before we get started, Frank, a shout out to you for 3 years of the Azure and AI Show. That is amazing that you've stuck with this for a weekly show with guests, with Azure AI is kind of all encompassing, not just Copilot from Microsoft, but I think we started with ChatGTP, right? From an AI perspective and some of the IoT, the Internet of Things type work.
Yeah, and we had we kind of done a big mixture of stuff there with a lot of other people who became MVPs, Power Platform. We had Prathap on the AI kind of voice stuff, and you had
Seena, and there have been so many people that have come through either as
and we
as
had
guests.
DevOps. We had DevOps around them.
Yeah. He became a DevOps, I think, MVP or an Azure. I don't remember the exact category he got awarded in, but there have been so many people that have come through. And, I won't say that it's only part of this, but this has been a super supportive community that you've built, Frank. It's amazing.
And with your help, then, wouldn't it
well,
be?
This was your brainchild. I know Matthew, you and I started, collaborating in probably the 2022 timeframe, and then by 2023 we were deciding to do the Journey to the Cloud show, which was monthly. And the downside to a monthly show is that if you miss a show, you have to wait an entire month to either present or to get in front of, different people, or to provide that, hey, here's the date and here's the show link and other things. Moving it to weekly was brilliant because it provides approximately 50 times a year for either somebody to be more consistent in, providing community value, presenting, getting comfortable with presenting, talking about different topics. It's, this was definitely your brainchild. And I think we collaborated with maybe Micah Hansen early on, coming up with like, let's put, Azure and AI, and that way, it's got something that's Microsoft specific, which Journey to the Cloud didn't really have anything, it was very generic as a title. So the Azure brought it to something Microsoft specific, but then AI being, that similar to the cloud, right? It's more encompassing, I guess, than just Microsoft technologies. And then you did a great job with like the virtual backgrounds and coming up with the events and inviting people. And then from there, many of the people, like you said, have become Microsoft MVPs. So if anybody watching this later or watching this live is not familiar with the MVP program, that's mvp.microsoft.com. And besides the MVP program and kind of transitioning into what I wanted to present and update everybody on, Microsoft also has a student ambassadors program. That's studentambassadors.com.
Ben, sorry to interrupt you there now.
Sure.
Just before you just get into it. So I put this up on the screen there, somebody from the audience. It says, "Hi, sorry, I am interpreting in the." She just got in the middle.
Okay.
Can I know the topic of discussion? I joined at the top middle. I don't know. So can you tell her what you're going to talk about?
Yeah, sure. I haven't put together like a single topic, but we are starting by describing what the Azure and AI Show is. And then we were transitioning into the fact that a number of Azure and AI Show guests or collaborators or people that were involved with us for the last 3 years have become either Microsoft MVPs, most valuable professionals, or they have become Microsoft student ambassadors, which is also available at the mvp.microsoft.com website. And we're going to talk about a couple things around the Microsoft community, some changes that Microsoft announced this week. And then Frank, I had suggested we might want to talk about Sessionize, which is a place for potential speakers, people that want to get involved with the community, the tech community, to go to find shows like the Azure and AI Show or to find other in-person or virtual events to speak at, which is part of what you document either as a Microsoft student ambassador or as a Microsoft MVP. So if I go back here one screen, we'll see that there are student ambassadors, Microsoft Most Valuable Professionals. There's also something called regional directors as part of the Most Valuable Professional communities. Regional directors are nominated by either other regional directors or Microsoft, I believe, program management. And there's only about 200 regional directors worldwide. And any of these 3 categories you can actually search. So if you're just getting into your journey about being a tech influencer or, considering joining one of these 3 communities, one thing that you can do is actually search. So I've been featuring weekly the students that are in the Student Ambassador Program from the United States. So if I go into a search, I can make sure that I'm only looking for student ambassadors, which is a default if you search from that page. I can go to country and region, and I can scroll almost all the way to the bottom here. I'm from Chicago, Illinois, so in Illinois. But I can come down here all the way to United States. And from United States, I can pick states and provinces to look for specific student ambassadors. So this morning in my newsletter, I highlighted the one student ambassador from Arkansas. So if we scroll down here past that, we'll notice that there's only one student ambassador from the entire state of Arkansas. I'm not sure if they're rebuilding the database or if it's just that rare that somebody in Arkansas has signed up for this program. If we add California, however, we get about maybe 10 or more student ambassadors. So whether it's your college, whether it's your location in the world, you can search by different countries. You can search by various criteria with the filters. And then this is an easy way for you to define what are my counterparts at either the same university or different universities doing within the Microsoft Student Ambassador community or the Microsoft MVP community. We're all people that are involved in various ways in sharing Microsoft knowledge with the community in general. And so besides that, Frank, we are both MCTs. I was an MCT for 25 years. I elected this year to become an MCT alumni. That's a Microsoft certified trainer. And so the certified trainer community are professionals that receive certifications in Microsoft technologies. And then we also take instructional learning courses, and we document the courses that we have taught others to maintain that MCT. But Microsoft also has a program called the Microsoft MIE, which is Microsoft Innovative Educator, MIE. And then they have another program called the MIEE, which is Microsoft Innovative Educator Experts. And this is somewhat like the Microsoft Certified Trainer. It is people that are awarded in Microsoft technologies and showing expertise and community value in those spaces. But one thing that Microsoft announced on Thursday of this week, we can find if we go to aka.ms/MIEE, is a new hub for Microsoft educators, students, and schools called Microsoft Elevate. And so this Microsoft Elevate program introduces Microsoft Elevate Educator Community, Microsoft Learn for Educators, and Microsoft Elevate School Communities. And I had somebody that I believe formerly worked for Microsoft, or she might still be with Microsoft, kind of explain that this isn't necessarily an evolution of the MIEE, the Microsoft Innovative Educator Expert program, but these are communities built around that, that designation that you can sign up for and request to become part of. So if you're looking at, your journey to different ways to collaborate with people to get recognized by Microsoft, some of those, like the MVP award, the Most Valuable Professional award, require you to apply first to be nominated by an MVP or a Microsoft employee, then to apply and document what you've done for the last 12 months in the community and in typically a single award category. So my award category is M365, so is yours, Frank. This year I added Microsoft Windows and devices to my categories, my award categories, and specifically Microsoft Surface. So you choose one or two areas to focus in on, and then you tell Microsoft all of the ways that you've showed up in those communities, online, blogging, providing tech support, at conferences. There's a number of ways that you can contribute. The MIEE, however, is a program that you find the page and you go ahead and you sign up for to be awarded the MIEE program. I believe it's this page. And I believe it's at the bottom, had a blurb about being one of the MIEE or MIE fellows for 2025-2026. So whether this evolves next year into something else, at the very bottom, there's the how to join and become an MIE expert. So some of these things, like the MCT, is a program where you teach a course, you get you certify in a technology. You don't teach a course, but you take a course on instructional skills. You document those achievements to Microsoft. Now you pay a program fee and you become an MCT. I believe the MIEE is similar, where you document a bunch of stuff and you apply and you may become recognized as an MIEE. Similar to the MCT, the MVP is different than both of these because it is a program that you are nominated for not necessarily that you just do X, Y, and Z and you become. The Student Ambassadors program is a little different. That, I believe, is something that you can apply to become, or you can be nominated as a student ambassador. And then every quarter you document what you've done, as opposed to the entire year with the MVP program. And then to the question about, what are we talking about and how does this all tie together? Frank, the other thing that I wanted to share briefly was the Sessionize Most Active Speakers 2025. This list has the most active speakers on Sessionize, and the top 3% of presenters is a list this year of 1,121 speakers. And what somebody noticed, out of those 1,121 speakers, if you search for the word women, you get a pretty astonishing small number of responses. I think if we scroll to the bottom of this page, it will show us I think it's about 30 or so per page. And it shows us that there's 67 of those profiles that the word women, plural, show up in their profiles. What I discovered, however, and wanted to share with everybody that might come across that post, is that if you search on the word she, you don't come up with a huge difference, but it's over twice as many at 156. So obviously there isn't necessarily just 67 women on this list. And the other thing that I noticed was when I looked through the 67, when I searched for the word women, I noticed that there was a man on the list who had the word women in one of the topics that he speaks at or events that he's gone to. The final thing that I'll share here, and I'm trying to get the attention of Sessionize, is if you search for the word her, you either get the message that the query is too short, or what I was getting the message of was that, let's see if we refresh this page. When I did the search for her, I got the message of a 500 error from the server. So it looks like now they've changed it so just the query is too short. But searching for women, searching for she give you different results. And one of the people that posted about 67 women was actually going to go through the list and just look for how many women are showcased out of those 1,100, a little over 1,100 people. So I wanted to share that as well in case anybody comes across that post and maybe thinks that this is a very small minority of women. I know a number of women, Frank, that you and I have found have come from Sessionize. So that's the other thing that I'd like to highlight is, a lot of the people that we've been introduced to may have found us through Sessionize. So if you're a woman and you're speaking about tech, please continue to use Sessionize. Please continue to, promote diversity in speakers. And that's all I had for today.
Yeah, so the 1,121 speakers,
Mm-hmm.
How many sessions do they have to get into their...
That's a great point. The other thing that Sessionize points out, I think, on the main page is that they're respecting speakers' privacy too. So let's say I'm a woman and I'm speaking at several conferences, maybe 25 conferences around the country. One, those conferences could or could not be using Sessionize. So Sessionize only looks at their own data of speakers and events that are booked through Sessionize. Two, if I mark my profile as private or make certain decisions from a privacy perspective, I may not be awarded for this. But you'll notice Tanya's profile, the first person on this list, has 10 published sessions. I saw some as low as like 5 single digits from a session perspective. And I saw some much higher from a sessions or a events perspective. So I'm not sure exactly how they determined this, but I believe all of the information is provided over here on the far right. And Sessionize does not capture whether a speaker is a man or a woman. So that is not something that I can just put a filter on at this point. But I can look at the 1,100, recipients of this. So I thought all of that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, very good. Dan, we have a question. You see it there?
Yeah, I can start with this one. The question is, do you need to be a Microsoft employee to become an MVP? And that's a great question from YouTube. You can't be a Microsoft employee and be an MVP at the same time. So one of the decisions, if you become a Microsoft Most Valuable Professional, is you cannot be a Microsoft employee. However, if you were previously a Microsoft employee, you might be aware of the program that might help you in knowing the people that are either involved in the MVP program or getting into the program. A lot of people have an assumption that MVPs may have worked at Microsoft and they have this upper hand in getting awarded. I wouldn't say that's the case. I would say that the more people you know, the better chance you have of being awarded. It's like anything else. If you wanted to join a fraternity or a sorority, or you wanted to join a company, if you don't know anybody in that company, it's very hard to get a job in a company. The more people you know, the more people you network with, the better odds you have. If you become an MVP, a Most Valuable Professional, and you apply at Microsoft, you actually have to turn down your MVP or become an MVP alumni, essentially. You can't be a Microsoft employee and an MVP at the same time. So I know several people like myself that have worked at Microsoft and then later became MVPs. And I know a lot of MVPs that led to a job at Microsoft because you're collaborating with people at Microsoft all of the time. You're also collaborating with some of the smartest and brightest people within those technology areas, whether it's Power BI or Azure or security or M365 or Windows and devices. You meet a lot of really, really great people. So thank you for the question.
Yeah, very good. The Sessionize is very good, isn't it?
It's really cool. I reached out to a couple of the women and I tried to be very careful about pointing out that I don't think 67 is the right number. I have a feeling 156 isn't the right number either, but I don't know what the right number is.
Yeah.
And, let's say for argument's sake, it's 200. That's, maybe right around 20% potentially of the full number. So I think there's improvement. I doubt the number is going to be more than half because even scrolling through the pages, you see a lot more men than women. But whatever that number is, there's always room for improvement. And I guess my point is we are always open to women presenters. We are open to first-time presenters. You do not have to be an established speaker to speak on the Azure and AI Show. Frank, myself, Ami Diamond, Seena Khan, Teresa, Cyrus, there's tons of us, Lisa Hendrickson. These are just some of the recent people that are coming to mind, have all been very, very welcoming to new speakers and to new people to the community in general. I just met somebody virtually that's over in the Netherlands, and she is an MIEE. And I mentioned the MVP program to her. She wasn't even aware of it. She has applied through a nomination that I provided, and I'm hoping that she hears back on that nomination. I don't make the decisions. So that's the other thing. MVPs can help you get nominated. You fill out what you've done in the last year, but then other people make the decision about who becomes an MVP. We can help you with recognition. We can help you with some of the steps that MVPs do, but we don't make the decisions.
Yeah, like when you were talking there, then I actually put together a list of stuff, you know, people don't know exactly what they need to get for, you know, as contributions.
Right.
So I have a list, maybe I'll just share it and we might just go through a couple of them. I'm just zooming in there. I'll share my screen.
Okay.
There now. You can see my screen there,
Yep.
yeah?
Yep, it's perfect.
Okay. So can you see that there's a Word document I put together, becoming a Microsoft Most Valuable Professional, MVP, as we were talking there. And it's a recognition of doing technology in the community and sharing your expertise and other stuff like that, helping people out. So these are some of the kind of contributions, like you need to be an expert in one of the products, like Copilot, AI, Azure, one of those sort of things anyway. Like you don't have to do everything that's on this list. It's just a list I put together so that people would have a guideline. So if anybody is interested in becoming an MVP and they know what to do, I normally send them on this list. And some of the stuff is a bit complicated, like maybe deep technical expertise. But it's just maybe if you're good at one thing, like if you're good at Copilot, or we say something like Excel, if you're just good at Excel or Teams or PowerPoint, you could get the MVP on one of those categories. So like passion for technology in the community, you know, being genuine, you know, passion for Microsoft technologies, that's what they want, you know, and a willingness to share stuff. Active in the community with your contributions, just like we're doing here now. We're on here in our giving our free time so people can actually learn about stuff. Some of the stuff is kind of easy enough to do. We say like writing a blog, an article, a book is a bit more like, but you could even just create YouTube tutorials, or you know, you can do open source projects or something like that. Like online engagements, you could do kind of a forum, have a question, even have a question and answers site that you want to, and you can use the Microsoft community to do that. Join it free, open a discussion. All these are kind of contributions. Speaking and presenting, just like we're doing here, join user groups or go to conferences. I think Dan mentioned those there, or go webinars or local meetup groups. These are all kind of contributions. You could be an organizer, or you could just help out in a community event. Some of them are very easy, like this one here, product feedback. That's something simple. You could go into Copilot, type a command in there and ask it to do something, and we'd say if you were happy with it or if you were unhappy with it, you could give it a thumbs down, and you can just say, look, I asked it to do this, it gave me back something wrong, and that's a feedback and that's a contribution. And if you get nominated to become an MVP, Microsoft will send you an email and it will say, fill out all these things. And they give you 24 different things to fill out. So these are kind of like all the different, like product feedback could be one of those 24. But I've heard of people that only just filled out 15 of them, and they were the 15 contributions and they got their MVP. So it all depends on, like, this is a simple one. Mentoring is another one, which is very easy. Probably one of your colleagues at work, you probably show them how to do something with Excel or PowerPoint or something like that. That's mentorship. So, yeah.
And from a standpoint of feedback to the product groups, there's things like the Microsoft Feedback Portal. So one of the challenges when you're not an MVP is you don't have necessarily those connections to the product teams. Many of those product teams, like one of the gentlemen on the Microsoft Teams group, Chris Sano, is looking for feedback on many of the features that Microsoft is looking to add for inclusion and inclusive meetings. And so he's sharing a lot of stuff on LinkedIn publicly about what Microsoft's looking for. They were looking for a number of people for a paid feedback that are signers of American Sign Language, for instance. So there were features that Microsoft is working on where they need people that are, I don't know if fluent is the right word, that are practitioners, I guess, of American Sign Language and know how to do that, are using that on a regular basis. So there are opportunities that you might come across. If you don't see those opportunities, sometimes things like the feedbackportal.microsoft.com can help you find those people or those things that Microsoft's working on.
Yeah, that's very good, and to hear that. So this one here is what we had a question on earlier.
Yes.
And it's kind of saying you can be nominated by a full-time employee of Microsoft or an active MVP like Dan and myself. So that's how you become an MVP. You get nominated by a Microsoft employee or an active MVP. And one of the things I tell people when they're going, if they get nominated, you have to put in your contributions for the last 12 months. And I tell people kind of consistency is definitely good. Like we do the Azure and AI show every week. So that's classed as consistently, like, because it's every week. So if you're going to do a blog post, be consistent. Either if you're going to do one every week, keep it up, do it every week. Or if you just want to do it once a month, just do it once a month. But consistency, they don't want somebody just going in, doing a bunch of stuff, we say, all in 1 month, and then they don't do anything the rest of the year. Yeah. So being consistent is very important.
And the interesting thing, Frank, is that's a moving window, right? So now we're in January of 2026. The window for 2024 just closed. So Microsoft, if you're nominated now, doesn't care about what great things you did in 2024. You could summarize those in some way, say, hey, I've spoken at this conference for the last 4 years as an example, or I've been on the Azure and AI show 12 times in the last 3 years, right? But they don't want to know about those things that you did a year and a half ago or 3 years ago or 10 years ago, right? They care about the last window of 12 months. So that's a moving window.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the kind of list of stuff I'd send on to people just to give them an idea what they need to do.
Yeah, and I'd say every MVP approaches nominations differently. Some MVPs do not want you asking for a nomination. I am happy to field questions from people. Microsoft is doing a really good job of giving people opportunities to ask questions about the MVP program. I know, Frank, you work with a lot of people that are considering the program or working towards the potential award. There are people that will send on like a Word document or an Excel spreadsheet or help you kind of think through, have you done at least 2 things for the last 12 months? Right there, 2 things every single month, to your point, Frank, about consistency, adds up to 24. That's what Microsoft is asking. What 24 things did you do? And they want different things, right? They don't want Frank just adding up, well, I did 50 shows, so that counts for 50. I did over twice as many, right? That should be summarized into one. But with that one contribution, you can say, hey, I did this weekly. I blogged weekly. I have this many followers, or I have this many, comments and engagements. And so the other thing that we provide people is communities beyond just your LinkedIn or your YouTube. If you have a really strong YouTube or X or social media, that might help you. But we're another avenue to those types of connections, those types of people, those types of introductions.
Yeah, definitely. Like as you said there, when you fill out those 24 contributions, like you say there now, the Azure and AI Show is on 50 weeks in the year, so that's classed as high impact. So you click on, when you go into the portal, there's a thing there, you can put a star on it and they can see like this is high impact, and you explain then that, like, they ask you how many hits you're after getting, or how many people got to see the show or wherever. So I kind of look back at LinkedIn and I kind of see, okay, this might be 1,200 hits this week. Another week there might be 700 or 800, and I just do an average over the year. And because there's 50 there, it adds up to 50,000 in the year. So that's 50,000 engagements now that you reached. And it's all community stuff. It's all free.
Yeah.
So,
and Frank, I always think back to Matthew, who introduced you to me, or me to you. Introduced us to each other. One of Matthew's first requests of us was to think about the women that we knew and invite them on the show. So ever since 2022, even before this show, we have actively, the 3 of us, as 3 men from around the world, been looking for the women that we know or that we didn't know, and inviting them on the show, and specifically looking for women to either support, uplift, give a chance to if they haven't spoken before. We have added things like a newsletter. So Journey to the Cloud may not be an online show because we already have this, but Journey to the Cloud is a pretty popular newsletter that Miran from the East Coast of the US does a weekly spotlight of somebody in the community. That's a way for her to put it together whenever it is convenient for her. And it led Miran to the MVP award. We have other people doing that daily. There's a MVP named Celine, who's doing a daily MVP quote from various MVPs, and she's showcasing that on her LinkedIn page. Well, that gives you, a daily opportunity Monday through Friday to read something inspirational.
Yeah, and I was working with another MVP, with a nominee for the MVP, and I told him to reach out to Amelia Hernández. Amelia has been on here a good lot. She does the kind of coffee mornings.
Yes, her coffee chats and stuff. Yeah, those are awesome.
Yeah, so Amelia is very good doing that. So she's going to do that with one of my guys.
I'm sure I'm missing all sorts of people that have, contributed in significant ways that are women. But that's one thing that I wanted to showcase with the Sessionize stuff, because I know we use Sessionize to you know, get volunteers to be on the show and present. And a lot of times when we have just men on the show, it's something I think about. Like today, it was the three of us, right? And we're all men. But we aren't an exclusive. You know, you don't need to be an established speaker. And I would say we're a welcoming community, supportive community. So if you've been thinking about it, or you're on the fence, or you don't feel like you've got something planned already, feel free to reach out to either Frank, myself, Matthew Brown, Amelia over in Austria. Teresa is in the US. Miran is in the US. Rachel Iribor is over in Malta. We have several people we know that hopefully we can find somebody in your time zone. We know people from Australia. We have a friend from Israel, Ami, who's been super involved. We have people all over the world that can kind of help give you advice, give you support, and give you a platform.
Yeah, we have a few women MVPs here in Ireland as well. The most recent one there was Fiona Walsh. Fiona got it for
PowerPoint, right?
PowerPoint, yeah.
Yeah, Fiona, and remind me the name of the woman. Thank you.
Anya is in Dublin. She's
Anya, she does the Dublin user group, right?
Yeah.
Cool. And is that all online, Frank, or do you support them with StreamYard for?
I support them once a month on StreamYard.
That's so cool.
They do a monthly show. So that.
Do they use Sessionize by any chance? Just out of curiosity.
They do, yeah. That's where they get all their speakers.
Nice.
Yeah. So then we're gone up over the hour. So thanks everyone for joining us, and we'll be back here again next week at the same time. And as we say, anybody want to come along and speak and wherever, reach out to us. So thank you guys.
Thank you all.